Hello and welcome back to another book review with your friend Patrick. I make these book reviews because self-education is more important than formal education, and self-education is what allows you to create your life. My goal with these book reviews is to give you an idea and an inspiration for your potential next books. Today I'm going to review the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This is an amazing life story. I had it as an Audible, so I don't have the hardcover to show, but I put a picture on there. And the difference between the hardcover and the Audible actually is that in the Audible, it's kind of an interview kind of style where someone else is actually reading the book because he's saying it's not about him, it's literally about us. We can get inspired by his life story. And in between, they have kind of a podcast interview kind of style where he also answers questions and gives some more insights, which are obviously not included in the book. If you think it can't get any worse, then you really have to read his book because his story is incredible. I'm so inspired by his transformation because he had an incredible abusive childhood where his father hit him, not just him, his brother and his mother. They were abused by his father. His father was actually making some good money, but only spent it for himself, for alcohol, for gambling and so on and so forth, and didn't really have much left for his kids. He was really dominating them. So if they didn't listen, or his wife and their David Goggins' mother wasn't listening, he literally hit the shit out of them. It is crazy. It is literally crazy what kind of suffer and pain they endured. And David Goggins at that point already had kind of a crazy mindset because he did not want to give his father the pleasure of breaking his mindset, breaking his mentality. So he literally just took the hits on the beatdowns that sometimes lasted for 45 minutes to an hour. Later on, his mother actually got hold of the gun of his father and shot him, and then they moved away to relate to people from his family, to relatives. That was the word. And that's when his transformation began. One day in a TV show or documentary about the Navy SEALs, he actually saw a specific quote that changed his mindset completely. From then on, because he was actually also weighing over 200 pounds, he was really big. A lot of times he switched school and he was the only black kid in the school. So obviously you can imagine what kind of hate and what kind of racism he also had to face. And then when he made the decision, he got back in shape, and he also started his military career where he went into the Navy SEALs, also to prove himself that he can do it. That's when he got in some of the best shape that he can be in. And he really endured as the only person 3 hell weeks in one single year. And one of them, he even broke his leg, but he kept on going. And that's when he really also discovered the power of his mind. Okay, because he actually says that if you cannot go any further, then you're reaching 40%. So his goal was actually to move further and further, to increase that step by step, go to 45%, go to 50%, and so on and so forth. He always wanted to see how far he can actually go with his mindset, which is incredibly inspiring. He also gives a lot of highly valuable information about how to overcome fear, about the mindset in general, not to listen to the little man, and many more tips and tricks on how to really maximize your potential. He didn't stop with the Navy SEALs. He was also deployed in Afghanistan and working with some of the special forces and really being on those crazy operations. secret operations. He also went on to do some Rangers training just because he wanted to prove himself again that he can not only be a Navy SEAL and go through Hell Week, but he can also endure the training that they do for becoming a Ranger, and even many other obstacles, many other challenges for himself, so that he can always prove himself over and over and over that he can go further and further. Later on in his life, he also became an ultra athlete, because that is another big step forward towards maximizing out your potential and your mindset, where you're literally running for 24 hours straight. And actually his first ultra race, he ran without any preparation, finished it, but he describes his feet after and his body, and it was just literally, it's crazy. This is obviously what is good in the book, because he will actually, or he has put some pictures in the book as well, how his feet, how his toes look. So that would be quite interesting in the book as well. So then he literally started his ultra athlete career running 24 hours straight, 100 miles, 150 miles, some of the hardest and toughest races on this planet he endured, and he became one of the best in this sport as well, fighting for many titles, winning a lot of those. At the end of his career, obviously he's still alive, but he goes on and takes another challenge, because he just wants to prove himself that he cannot only be a SEAL, run ultra marathons, ultra distance races, but he's also a strong guy. So he went on to go for the world record in the most pull-ups in 24 hours. And it took him actually 3 attempts to master it. The first 2, he had troubles with his hands after practice. This time he actually prepared for it, but he had a lot of troubles with his hands, with blisters, with callus, and so on and so forth, so that he had to give up twice in the process. But obviously, knowing him throughout the book, he then also always analyzed what happened. He not just analyzed during the competition what happened, but before, so that he can adapt to the preparation and make that better for the next time. So it was really interesting in general how to approach challenges and how to literally maximize out your mindset, and don't limit yourselves by the beliefs that you have, the fears, and so on and so forth. And he's literally one of the baddest, he calls himself one of the baddest motherfuckers on this planet Earth. And when you hear about him, or you read his book or any other podcast or so on, you know that he really he just talks how he thinks it is. So there's a lot of cursing words in there, but I think that's what makes him really authentic, and that's what I really like about him as well. So this is an amazing book. I got a lot of value from it, and I can only highly suggest it for you as well. If you've read it, please leave some comments in the section. I will join the discussion. And until next time, never give up.